about 20 years ago. I have the privilege of training and consulting with technology companies all around the world. I've been in 6 continents with the work I do, and just really have enjoyed large technology companies like the big IBMs and Red Hats and Microsoft, but also a lot of their small business partners as well. And small business, because my commercial banking was in small business, I've always had a heart for the small business owner as well. And
it's the 5th startup that I've been involved in. Most of my background is in sales and marketing, and most of my experience is with selling to large companies. So
I founded Hebron Academy, the NGO that helps underprivileged children and youth, mostly orphans, with education in software engineering, computer science, and then we started Hebron Soft. So now I'm CEO of Hebron Soft, a software company. It's a solution and service provider.
Predominantly in the aerospace business with the space shuttle and the space station programs out at the Kennedy Space Center, as well as the design centers in California when I first started my career.
well, listen, folks, there's lots of macro issues facing all of us today. The stock market woes, that's up and down. The trade wars going on, that have been going on. Oil prices are kind of weird right now. Pretty cheap, but I'm getting about 3 weeks to the gallon on my car right now with this COVID-19 shutdown, and of course that's a problem. And there's some industries that are really suffering, and some industries are really taking off right now. So it's kind of a mixed bag, but there's a lot of worry out there and a lot of concerns for you. And so we're going to do a quick poll right now just to see who's paying attention and ask you a question. Lily, I'd like you to ask the audience, what is the major concern? Vote for one. Let's just see where our audience is right now. So vote for one of those major macro issues right now.
Okay, it's launching. And our panelists can also vote.
Oh boy. It doesn't take long to click and submit, so pick one and just let us know what you think. And as soon as, go ahead and cut off the voting, and let's go ahead and look at the results then, if you would.
Yeah, we still have several people to vote, but
that's okay, go ahead and.
Okay, and now let's share results.
All right, so COVID-19 comes out second. Shutdown of industries is slightly ahead, and shutdown of certain countries is certainly an important and challenging issue as well. All right, nobody's worried about the stock market or oil prices right now. We're probably pretty happy with oil prices, though, yeah. As consumers anyhow. And nobody's missing their entertainment. That's kind of surprising to me. Thank you, Lily. We can go ahead and close that out. I'm a football fan. I wish I could get into some football, although this is certainly the slow season for that news. But you know, I'm ready to roll for next fall, and I certainly hope we can do some of that. Well, you know, we may or may not be able to solve any of these problems today. We can be proactive with our clients and our employees as well as our community. And so I want to give a brief explanation on the 2 seemingly opposed sales tips that we have used to tee up this seminar. The first sales tip is stop selling and start helping. And in my role as a trainer and as a consultant for quite a few years, I collected a whole bunch of quotes. And that's where that comes from. It's back, and I got it in 2001 and have used it often since then. And back in those days, the stop selling and start helping, the philosophy behind that little quote was to stop trying to push your product and start trying to learn what your customers' needs are, find out about your customers and and relate then how your services, your offerings can help them improve their business or their personal life if it's a consumer sale, such as at Bloomingdale's. And so many times a lot of companies started to embrace more of a consultative sales approach, if you will. So that's what that meant back in 2001 when consultative selling was kind of hot. Tip number 2, always be selling. I've often said that to my clients for many years, but what I mean by that statement is that a sales professional should always be asking questions and listening. And it's especially important to listen to what the answers are in order to learn new ways to help. Often I've found in salespeople that I have coached and sales managers is they are so excited to go in and sell their stuff and tell their stuff about their stuff. They miss great cues as to other things that they could help that company with, whether it's their own products and offerings, or it might even be a referral to a business partner that they have or other people that they make referrals to. That's important as well, to help your customers and have that focus. So always be selling is always keep listening is really what the good salespeople do. So in these uncertain times, these 2 ideas still apply, but perhaps in a little different way. So I want to talk, our theme is going to be how can you help? How can you help, especially now with this current challenge that we have and all the challenges that we've got? How can you help? And you're helping your clients. So James, what different or new problems have you seen recently with your clients and prospects, or even in your own company that you could share with us?
Yeah, happy to help, Bill. So again, maybe I'll give 1 minute on what Coherent Path does, just so everybody has some context. So
Right.
Our solution, we're an analytics solution that helps large retailers, L Bean, Bloomingdale's, folks like that. And we help them to, with their digital marketing exercises, email, things like that, website, to communicate to their customers. And they would have 10 million or so customers on average, and helping them to personalize the interactions with those customers. You know, so what used to be, they used to send out a men's version of the email and a women's version of the email. And now they send out, you know, hundreds of thousands of different variations that are personalized to each and every customer, and we're the analytics and that's behind that personalization. And if you think about how we used to sell that analytics, it probably wouldn't be a surprise that we would say, you know, we can give you 20% or 30% lift on compared to what you were doing, and that's been very successful. You know, a lot of to say that those are huge channels that represent, you know, 20% lift might be $200 million in lift for Gap or somebody like that. And so, you know, very great value proposition. It's worked for us for years. But in this environment, as the, you know, CEO or CFO, sorry, of Bloomingdale said to me, like, if I'm not selling anything, you know, 30% more nothing is nothing, you know what I mean? So it's meant that we've had to, they still care about the lift, and that's still important. But Bloomingdale's, for example, has furloughed 90% of their employees. So that's 227,000 employees who are not currently working, which means that for us, you know, switching to one of the things that you have to do when you go from running 2 versions of the email to running 1 million versions of the email, there were things that you used to do manually that you now have to automate if you're going to scale to doing 1 million different versions of an email that you're going to send out. And so continuing to focus on the areas where we can help them automate things that they did manually in the past, which we were doing to some extent because we had to in order to run 1 million different versions. But that has now become extremely important to them. So I would say that's the first thing, is that switching our value proposition from being about lift to being about automating the execution of their campaigns, hugely important. Let's say the second thing is if you think about 90,
So that's actually, James.
Yeah, go ahead.
So that's actually adding services to what you were offering to help them even more in their situation of being understaffed.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. That given that they have 90% fewer employees to do the same thing, sort of drawing the line as to who does what. You know, in the past, they were responsible for uploading their creative. They were responsible for scheduling their events. And we've taken on some of that work. That it's not a ton of work, but they just couldn't do it. So it unlocks the value of the whole thing if I take a little bit more on, you know, sort of draw the line, move the boundary posts a little bit in terms of who does what. And it's been extremely appreciated by them. And then maybe two other changes in the dynamic. So one is, you know, Bloomingdale's is slow. They've been trying to become a e-commerce company since, you know, 1990, whatever, right? And they're now a .com. They've closed all of their stores. They have no physical presence anymore. Wow. And so, you know, we are able to move fast now. Where they were very risk averse and, you know, they'd want to test things for a long time, and now we can not bully them, but we can forcefully lead them into the future so that when they emerge from this kind of crisis, they will be in a much, much stronger, more flexible, modern, you know, email infrastructure. So we are running like crazy, and there's no more. The risk management guys are part of who got furloughed, and so, you know, nobody's saying you can't do that if it has a great business case and it's eliminating labor. You know, it's like, you know, go as fast as you can. And so I think there's a great opportunity while all the risk people are at home to, not that there's not value in that too, for a lot of these companies to go fast on projects that they wouldn't have before. And then maybe the last thing I'll say is that you know, it's given us you know, we help personalize the emails that go out. What comes out of that are insights into who's buying what, you know. So home goods are doing better than, you know, party dresses or whatever, you know. Not, there's more insight than that, but you could probably put that out yourself, but you know what I mean. And so taking the results and packaging them up as insights in order to get access higher and higher within the organization. So I think a lot of selling in this environment is about access. And so there are a lot of folks trying to figure out what the new normal is. And so we can serve our customer by giving them insight into what the new reality means for their business. And we trade that for access high in the organization. So, you know, hopefully that kind of sets the context. I realize some of that's at a high level, so I am totally open to, you know, to talk, go into whatever detail people would find useful. But hopefully that's a good background on the context of what's going on in our world.
Excellent, excellent. Well, I also think that good customer service, or excellent customer service, I even call it remarkable service. And the reason I use the word remarkable is because I want our customers to remark to others, to tell others about how great it is to deal with us. Pete or Liliya, do you have any insights on how you have seen in your experience improving the customer service level throughout your whole organization?
So we've always tried to help our customers, and customer satisfaction is always been quite important at Hebronsoft, and nowadays it's even more important than ever. We try to have it not only on a customer level but also employee level. So we try to have each employee kind of echo the service we provide, so be an echo of the whole brand and customer satisfaction, so to say. Like at Hebronsoft, we have this notion of visionary engineering. So when a client comes with the idea, the vision, we honor that, but we try to challenge them to think out of their box, so to say, and from a technical perspective, from an engineering perspective. So we try to collaborate with them in their buying process, and try to bring insightful and fresh perspectives on the issues they are coming with to us, so we can produce better results and create more value for them at the end.
Yeah, thank you. Pete, do you have a thought on this?
Well, it's interesting. In my career, when I started out in my career as an engineer, there was a lot of specialization. Everybody knew their roles. There wasn't a lot of communication across organizations. And then as my career progressed, I noticed more and more as the corporations became more attuned to internal teams and IPTs and program teams and communicating together. And towards the end of my career, there was so much collaboration in groups, and there was a lot of people talking, and the companies made a big effort to make sure that worked well. So it really helped as companies move and progress into bigger companies, that they watch out for, the silos and the specialization, because that can mean that communication is not happening across a lot of channels. And you really want that communication to happen across a lot of channels, because there's a lot of good ideas out there. And managers, program managers, and functional managers, and vice presidents all have to be attuned to making sure their organizations support communication. Yeah. A lot of different things. And now then the technology has advanced to the point where we can do this kind of stuff. Back when I started my career, we didn't have telecoms and things like that, but now we do. Now we have video cons, webinars, and this is a really good opportunity to make sure there's a lot of communication going on across multiple spectrums within an organization, and that all supports. If you're talking internally to each other, you're finding a lot of good ideas, and then you can relate that to the customer base you're pursuing to work towards acquiring those clients you want, because now you have a better understanding of the big picture and so forth. And everybody needs to have that understanding. Even the smallest person down the chain should have somewhat of an understanding of the big picture. And as you rise up in the corporation, you get a bigger understanding of the big picture, but everybody should have that understanding.
That just reminds me of when I was in the banking industry and doing some training for a large super regional bank. The hirees, the new hires right off the college campus, they made them tellers for a little while, and secretaries at the desk before they made them bankers with lending authority and sales responsibilities. But the reason, some people question whether we should be doing that, but we want them to get to meet the customers and know customers first. Then we can train them on our banking products and services, and we did. That was part of mine. But they had to get to know not only what we sell, but who we sell to. Right. So just getting everybody on the same platform with that is a great point, Pete. Thank you. Well, watching. Yeah, James.
I was going to add my 2 cents on that too. I totally agree with what you're saying. And, we often struggle, like as the small company, we want to take responsibility for the outcome. You know,
Yeah.
they bought Lyft, you know, and under normal circumstances, it's a big sort of set of dependencies that are required, you know, in order to actually take responsibility for the outcome. But again, to sort of just build on what I was saying before, I think at this stage, excellent customer service is about taking responsibility for the outcome and recognizing that in these times, you can be a little bit more forceful, and people are more open to going faster or letting
Yeah.
you take a little bit more responsibility, and they will embrace a little bit more risk in terms of, you know, change, which is what you're doing if you're a small company within these massive organizations.
Yeah, that's kind of the opposite of what people might think, is that we ought to be measuring risk even more in this crisis, and yet you're exactly right. It is the opportunity. Crisis also equals opportunity, and this is an opportunity for many of our clients and associates to take a step and move their business forward, getting ready for the next good times. Very nice. Well, I got another question. We sort of talked about our team and everything already a little bit here, and that's great. But watching the news right now makes people feel really bad. Yeah, and I quit watching the news. I've decided to spend no more time watching the news than I do reading my Bible and studying my Bible, because I got to keep the spiritual and the world at bay here a little bit. But how has your team sought to reach out to your clients on a personal level? Because they're also feeling some concern. Has anybody got an example of reaching out and talking with your folks on their personal level? You get to know their kids or their issues and things like that. How's that working?
Yeah, so nobody likes lockdown. Like, who likes lockdown? And the moment you get on a call with your client and you start talking about lockdown, everybody melts and start talking about having the kids at home. Like, James, we had that conversation with your daughter being at home, showing the pets, or it changes from business setting to a more personal setting, more individual, and you now know the client's family, pets, household responsibilities sometimes, because you hear the wife calling or whatever. I think like warming up and talking about the lockdown can be one of the samples.
Yeah. We get to know this is giving us an opportunity to get to know each other a little bit more personally, our clients and our prospects, as well as our employees.
It reminds me of that show, what did they call it? Cribs, where they would go to the NFL player or the NBA player's house and you would see, their crib. I now get exposed to all of my customers' cribs,
Cribs.
What books are on their shelf, it's been very humanizing, getting a sense for
and that's not a bad thing.
That's
not a bad thing. Often, and here up until March, really, the economy was so frenetic, so charged and going, that few of us had time for personal stuff. We had to get going and talked about how we could help them and move on and move on to the next prospect. And so this has given us a little bit of time to perhaps get human again, hasn't it?
But
yes.
Also with other employees, like, in our offices, we see employees that it can be a responsible employee, very smart, intellectual, motivated employee. It's still an employee. Now, when you go get on calls, like Zoom calls with your employees in Teams, hear the children crying, or you see that employee from a different perspective, like more human perspective. Oh, and now you realize, they also have families, they have other responsibilities, at home. They can work the flexible hours they need to. So it's also changing from an employee perspective.